Hello, hello. Okay, back again. Back again, and I didn't check when the last time was. I guess it's probably been a month or something. But today it's time to do another update on what the status is on my Isekai story. And I haven't been streaming much, and that's not necessarily because there hasn't been any progress, because there has, but well, I have been a little bit different with other things also, so I haven't really had time to stream, and there's also the practical detail of while there has been some progress, there hasn't really been that much exciting progress, at least not until recently. Well, why don't I just go through it from the start? So basically the status is that I think it was at the time of the last stream, probably about a month ago or something, I managed to complete the text that I had been working on. Or I say complete the text, but what I mean is, of course, complete the first draft of the text. And it provided an ending point for the story, not the full story, but at least for the initial story arc, the introduction of main set of characters. And I have been working after that point on cleaning up the text, basically. That's been much what I've been doing. I first did one pass through it just to spell check the contents, and that was fairly quick. Now I am doing another pass through the text that's primarily looking at wrong use of grammar and unusual sentence structures and so on, and so it's still fairly mechanical work, but I'm about halfway through the text now, and I guess partly as a result of that, one thing that I had been thinking a little bit about and being a little bit unsure about was how I would go about well, essentially mapping the text that I had written to sort of traditional books. I had been thinking about what I had written as book 1, but I wasn't entirely certain whether I was going to continue to keep that as book 1 or whether I was going to split it up. And I think now I have perhaps come to an conclusion about that. And the reason is that, well, it's fairly simple, really. As I said, I have through the first half of the book, and as luck or chance would have it, at the halfway point in the text there is actually a fairly good, well, not ideal, but fairly good place to say that this is the end of book number 1, meaning that I split the text up into that I've written so far into 2 books, book 1 and book 2. And that's what I've been thinking, and that also means that I have done not very enormous amount. I haven't done any rewrites of what will likely end up as book 1, but I have at least spell checked it and done one pass through it just to fix the worst of the grammatical and what's it called, typological, and the use of punctuation, so that type of problem. And what remains is so that's what I will probably end up calling book 2, and I'll be continuing with that. So that's one thing that's been going on. One consequence of that is that I haven't been writing the continuation of the story after I finished the first part. I've been thinking a little bit about it, where to take it and so on, but I haven't really been able to decide on in which direction it's going to go. But that's I have been thinking a little bit about it, and I had some ideas, and I had from previously also been thinking about which way it would go. So I do have a fairly good idea how to start, at least mapped out some of the events, and what I'm uncertain about is I'm uncertain about how long the parts of the story that I have thought about will end up being when I write them down, because there's usually lots of details that then put in. Expand the length of the text. So I don't know how long it will be, but now having decided on the middle of the text that I have written being the end of book 1 and start of book 2 has made me want to perhaps start on what will be book 3 and start to write it and see where we end up. Because having written book 3 also, I sort of imagine that I'll be able to introduce the remaining parts of the world and the characters that will show up there, at least the main characters. So I sort of there would be benefits with regards to having a properly structured story, and that can only be had by sort of mapping things out beforehand. You can introduce foreshadowing and sort of interesting things, hints about events that will be happening later. You can introduce characters that show up later on and do interesting things and so on. But that's difficult to do unless you know where things are going. So I'm sort of tempted to do that, but at the same time, if I'm going to write, I think it took me about it wasn't half a year, but it was several months to write the pages that I have, so it'll probably take equivalent amount of time to write the next bit. And if I'm going to postpone any sort of publishing beyond that point, well, I'll never get around to doing that. So perhaps there is a sort of middle ground here. There are several sites that are suitable for publishing this kind of serial thing. So there's of course the possibility of starting on one site and sort of doing low profile, simple start there, and at the same time continue writing on the next bits of the story, and when I have this in place, and maybe when I even have some feedback from readers of the first site, I can do a rewrite and then continue from there. Then launch it over all the sites. I don't know. That's a possibility, at least. At the same time, if I'm going to publish a book variant of this, maybe that's a time for doing rewrites. That's also not a bad argument, since then you would be publishing something that's not identical to what's on the serial sites. So there's benefits to picking out the books. So that's also something to think about. I don't know. I will have to think a little bit about it, but it's. I sort of feel that I should start publishing if I'm ever going to do so. Not postpone it infinitely. And I also think it would be nice to know more about where the story is going before I start publishing. So there's a kind of trade-off there. But regarding where the story is going, I think I have managed to write, I don't want to say the ending, but at least a possible ending for the story as a whole. So what I had been thinking was that I would have this initial part, of which I have written what will likely be the first two books, and maybe I'll write the third book, which will together form the sort of introduction to this setting, this world. And then I will, since I'm writing this in serial form, I will do some story arcs related to various places, conflicts, and sort of the different parts of the world where things are going on. It ends up being quite a lot of these. So there are some stories that I would like to tell, and I sort of have been thinking that there should be a main enemy, you could say, for the bulk of this story. Maybe not an enemy that will show up in all the story arcs, but if the first three books, if you call them that, are represent the introduction, then you have the sort of the different story arcs that map out various parts of the world, and then you have the ending, which is a continuation of the first books, so that you have rather the story there, so that you have the first three books, and then you have the last book, or books, I don't know, and the start and the end are sort of they sort of belong together. They are not the same story, but at least they are connected on a level. And I did manage to write the end of that story, the sort of the last page of the last book. Of course, there's the very pragmatical question of whether I'm ever going to get that far, and the answer to that is, I don't know, probably not. But at least I know where I am going, and that will make things a little bit simpler. And it gives a proper ending, I think, to the story. I mean, I'll probably rewrite it if I ever get that far, but at least I think it works nice as an ending. It sort of concludes with the elements that I started on in the first two books, and when I haven't been reading the entire thing now that I've been working on the text, cleaning it up, but I have been reading parts of it, and at one point I sort of realized what the ending would need to be. So I wrote that a little what's the term? Melancholy is not quite the right word. Tinge of sadness related to that bit, but this is what it is. So I have an end actually, and I realized what the sort of final conflict would have to be about, and so that means that I have the start, and then I have the end, and those will be connected, and then there will be the sort of stories in the middle, and at least I want some of these to have a sort of recurring enemy that you can have the heroes defeat in the last of these story arcs, and then that leads into the final bit that concludes the story, and that means that there will be an ending. You can of course continue to write these infinitely, but life and time is not infinite, so it's at least nice to have a certain idea about where the story can end if I ever manage to get this far. That still remains to be seen, but I have actually managed to progress far. I mean, I never thought I would be able to reach as far as I have come. There's also the possibility that I get distracted before I manage to reach the end. And there are several reasons for this, and many of them are connected to another thing that I have been working on, which is let's call it the website for the books or the stories, and I sort of imagine that there could be some distractions involved in not only working on the story, but on fleshing out the world of the story. So I've been working on the pieces for a website for that, and it's been interesting. I didn't really have a very high level ambition when I started, and I'm not going to say that what I have managed to put together so far is extremely impressive, but it at least does make it possible for me to do some interesting things with the story material, which was actually one of the motivations that I initially had when I started writing it, because I think I maybe talked a little bit about this in an earlier episode on this channel, but I had initially thought about doing some videos on essentially books others have written, or stories from anime or manga or something like that. And while that could be interesting, the sort of unfortunate detail that I managed to sort of uncover, and when I say uncover, it sort of indicates that it's some kind of great secret, which isn't, but you can say that there's this I don't know, dilemma is the right word, but if you are an owner of an IP and if you you produce if you write books or publish books, or if you make some kind of TV series or whatever, game, whatever it might be, well, you of course want to have people talking about your content, ideally in a positive way, but sort of in the context of YouTube, which is where we are now, you can say that having people on YouTube do what essentially ends up being promotion for your IP, having people talk about how great your story is, well, that's a positive, obviously. If it drives new readers, watchers, or players to your published stuff, well, that's a good thing, obviously. But then there is the you have people that promote or do things that essentially ends up being promotion for your IP on the one hand, and then you have people doing what probably can be classified as replacement for your content of the sort of the extreme. And by replacement of your content, I mean that I guess it's simplest to describe it using a game. If I, instead of playing some kind of game that I think looks interesting, watches somebody play through it, well, at least in the case of very story-bound games, well, the experience that I have watching somebody play it might not differ that much from actually playing it myself. I get to experience the entire story. Of course, if there's some kind of branching interactive element, I won't be able to experience those, but at least when it comes to the story, I can watch or listen to the entire thing on YouTube or some other similar sites. And if the next thing I do is go and pick up a copy of the game, well, then that's of course good for the publisher, but especially in the case of games, there will probably be a lot of those that watch a playthrough that are not going to pick up a copy of the game themselves because they feel that they have had sort of the experience related to this game that they wanted to have. They have experienced the story, and they don't feel the need to do it once more. And this is very easily understood for games, but you have potentially have the same thing with books, for example. If instead of reading through a long book series, I watch the videos of somebody that summarizes these videos or in some kind of way presents them in an entertaining manner, so that I get the experience of listening to or watching, depending on what kind of medium what kind of way of presenting the material the video uses. I sort of get to experience essentially the story of the book, and after I had done so, I might not feel any need to pick up a copy of the book and read it myself. Of course, there might be many of those that would watch something like that wouldn't pick up a copy of the book regardless. But if you watch, rather if you look at this from the viewpoint of a publisher, well, then that's something that they would certainly be worried about. And that basically means that if you are going to make content for somebody else's IP, you will end up being somewhere on this sliding scale between being somebody that promotes the IP to somebody that essentially puts out content that replaces the official content of the IP. And regardless of where oneself might consider oneself to be on this scale, what really matters is what the publisher or rights owner thinks. So if they think that what you are doing is not a positive to their story, IP, franchise, or whatever, well, then you risk having your video taken down and your channel being shut down also, in the extreme case, at least if it happens enough number of times. And that means that since I hadn't really started making any kind of videos like that, I never really got to experience whether this is actually a problem or not. I imagine that it sort of depends on the IP. I know there are some games, typically visual novels and such, where you risk having video shut down if you show too much of the story. And then the question becomes, why would you want to spend a lot of time and energy to make content for some IP if you risk basically losing all the results of your efforts if the video is taken down, or even more negative, lose your entire channel if it's something that happens too often. I mean, of course, if you are very passionate about some kind of IP and you want to make content based on that IP, or rather related to that IP, and I mean, there's a lot of channels like this on YouTube. Most of the big movie and book franchises, TV franchises, probably have a lot of channels that are devoted to them. And this will probably often be because the creators of the channel are passionate about whatever they are talking about. And I can see that if you like Series X and watched it in your childhood growing up, for example, and you feel that this is what you want to make content about, well then that's understandable. And if, as long as you play within the rules that the content owner have set, you probably will have a good experience of doing this. You might even be invited to some sort of events related to this for promotional activities, and all sort of benefits specific to this. And there's also the undoubtable fact that if what you're talking about is a popular franchise, then there will probably be a lot of potential viewers that are interested in watching videos about that franchise. Meaning that it's possible to maybe make a living from making videos about it. So all of this is very understandable. And the problem, of course, becomes if you, for some reason, make a video where you say something that the franchise owner doesn't like, or if you feel that the direction the franchise has taken isn't in line with what you enjoy about the original content for the franchise, so that you have this problem of since you don't have control over how the books or whatever are written, you are at the mercy of whatever happens which is beyond your control. And that means that well, there's a lot of unpredictability regarding this, and you might end up essentially having wasted a lot of the energy and passion that you put into the content that you created yourself. And the alternative, which sort of brings us back to what I wanted to talk about, is that if you make your own content, you don't have to worry about many of these things. Since you control the entire thing, you don't have to worry about the opinions of the owner of the IP, because that's you, and you don't have to worry about the direction the story is taking, because you're the one writing it. The drawback is, of course, that nobody else will care, because nobody, or at best only a small number of people will know that your story or stories exist at all. But at least if you enjoy the process of making content based on some kind of world fictional setting, well, then I think having your own stories, your own characters as a basis for that is it is at least the way that I want to go. And to bring it back to the website thing I was working on, there are some possibilities here that might make for some interesting storytelling opportunities. We'll see how it goes. That's at least what I have been working on. So you say that I have been busy, even though there hasn't been much in the way of new pages written. But still, things have been happening, and some of these things, such as the website thing, more or less progress by themselves, since it's sort of low-intensity work. Can be done now and then. I guess the biggest question is, should I try to write a little bit more what's going to happen next? It is a little bit tempting. Perhaps write a little bit just so I know that at least where the initial direction is going. But yes, okay. I think that covered most of the things that I want to talk about today. I guess the my main point is that even though I haven't really been adding much in the video content, I have at least been doing something. So we'll see how it goes. And with that, I think I'll end it. Say goodbye for now. And thank you for listening. And hopefully I'll be back again soon. But till then, bye bye.